be there in about 20 minutes. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Hi, my name's Rob Goderis with RGS Home Inspection.
Hi, I'm Kyle Goderis with RGS Home Inspection. Me and Pops are both licensed Florida home inspectors.
And we're going to go on a home inspection. One of the things that sets us apart as home inspectors is that we're also licensed custom home builders. And we've been building houses in the Central Florida area for over 20 years. And today we're going to go out to Oveido and show you what it's like to do a real thorough home inspection. Okay, we've arrived at the client's house and we're going to go in here and check it out. The owner of this house lives out of state. The buyer would like a home inspection before they decide to purchase the home. Normally how I start out a home inspection is I start up the dishwasher because that has to run through an entire cycle. Okay, this is a thermal imaging camera, and it's one of the greatest tools available to home inspectors today. And what this camera does is it detects temperature differentials. So for instance, if I were to put my hand on this wall and take it back, you can actually see that handprint. Now what it's detecting is the heat from my hand. And as you notice, it'll start to dissipate. One of the great things about this camera is that these thermal imaging camera, and it'll detect moisture. Now, we can walk around this house and sometimes you'll have active leaks in a house, especially after a rainstorm. And you can find out by using this thermal imaging camera any moisture that might be present on your ceilings or walls that you can't detect with the human eye. The great thing about these cameras is that not only can we tell what circuit has a load on it, but we're also going to be able to tell if there's any hot spots in this panel that has hot spots on it. We know there's probably an issue there. We're going to recommend that the buyer contact a licensed professional electrician and have them look at the problem.
They work. Check the windows, make sure they open, operate properly. Check and make sure there's no broken glass, and then make sure that they're secured. Some of these larger appliances, you got to check in there and make sure that the junction box is closed and that the gas line's open. Make sure the stove functions properly. Now I'm going to test the oven, make sure everything's firing properly. You're going to test the microwave, just put some water in a coffee cup and throw it in there and make sure it gets hot. It works, but you'd be surprised how many times we find appliances that don't work properly. We're going to run through and check all the GFIs in the kitchen, the bathrooms, the wet areas.
Operate this on cool setting. Go out there and check for temperature differential. Alright, we're going to check some temperatures here at the return air. We're reading about 67 degrees here at the return air. Now we're going to go up there and see what kind of temperature that this unit's going to produce. So we're looking for about 18 to 20 degrees temperature differential between the return air and the supply. We're reading 67 over there and we're reading 48 here, so we got it. I suppose you're wondering about the holes that we're putting in this. After we're done here, we're going to put a little piece of tape on that and close them holes up. Now we're going to go ahead and run through each setting on the thermostat. We're going to go to the heat setting. We're going to check the temperature differential like we did on the cool setting, on your return air and your supply. And then we're also going to check it on the emergency heat. Okay, we're going to take this panel off here. We're going to look at the air conditioning coils. A lot of times on older units there's going to be a lot of mold in those units. Inside this unit, and as you can see here, these coils are nice and clean. Oh.
I'm going to make sure that the safety reverse works on the garage door now. On these garage service doors, a lot of times we'll run into issues with rot at the base of the jamb. Check out in here and see if we have any. Looks like we're good. I'm going to go ahead and go up and check this attic, check the insulation, check the ductwork, see if we got any issues, check and see if we have any wood rot, the decking, and see if we got any active leaks. Didn't find anything up there, no problems, insulation looked good, didn't find any rotten wood. We have ran into issues before in attics with rotten wood. Just today I was on an early inspection. I was doing an attic and found some major wood rot near a chimney that never been found had somebody not gone in the attic.
Okay, one of the things we like to do when we do our home inspections is to test around these windows, because windows are notorious for leaks. We're going to test for any moisture with this moisture detector. Okay, this is a little laser thermometer that we use. It's kind of handy. We can just point it and shoot. Make sure that all the registers are supplying air to each room.
On our inspections, we usually test the showers to make sure that there's no grout issues or loose tiles. Most prevalent areas of cracks is mostly in these corners and along the floor. We're going to check the tub, make sure the hot and cold water is working properly, and we're going to make sure that the stopper's operating. All the water in the house, all the faucets, make sure that everything's running properly, make sure the stoppers are working good, and then we also check underneath to see if we have any leaks and make sure our shutoffs are operable. If the appliances are going with the house, we're going to run through and make sure everything's working properly, that we don't have any leaks at the shutoffs, and that our drain lines work. We check the pocket doors, make sure we don't have any scratches, dents, make sure they lock properly, they operate properly. Check the front door, make sure the weather stripping's there, that it's not damaged in any way, that you have a good seal when you shut your door. A lot of times on these bedroom doors, what will happen is these strike plates will need to be adjusted because the doors won't latch properly. This one's latching good. Going to go ahead and make sure the sliders slide properly, that there's no damage to the tracks, that all the screws are in place.
We're going to take a look at this kitchen sink. Go ahead and turn it on, let the water run. We're going to check the waste line plumbing. Most of the time there's quite a bit of homeowner paraphernalia down underneath here. Underneath these kitchen sinks, there's always a lot of waste lines and a lot of joints. So what we do is we're going to check all these joints out. We're going to run this water. We're going to check every one of these joints to make sure if there's any leaks. We're going to document them, because these new modern cabinets, it doesn't take much to destroy the inside of them. Operate this disposal. One of the other things we're going to do is, one of the common problems that we see in these houses is that these flex cables are not run properly and you have some exposed wiring, and you really don't want any exposed wiring underneath your kitchen sink. One of the other things that we're going to do is we're going to go through these cabinets. We're going to look at the screws inside these cabinets to make sure that they're mounted properly to your wall. We're going to check all your doors. We're going to check your drawers, hardware, make sure everything functions properly. And this one happens to be vented through the roof. And we're going to check the function on that exhaust. This refrigerator is going to go with the house. Of course, we're going to look inside the freezer. We're going to see what's for dinner, but more importantly, we're going to find out if this freezer's operating properly. And we're going to check the refrigerator out.
We're going to go ahead and run through the sprinkler system, make sure all the zones are operating. Make sure we don't have any leaks, any problems with sprinkler heads. A lot of times around these driveways, we'll get sprinkler heads that are damaged from people running over them. All looking good. Everything's operating properly, they're spraying the right way. I'm gonna go ahead and get on the roof, check for any exposed nails, any problems. All the shingles look to be intact. There don't appear to be any problems. A lot of times squirrels like to eat on these lead boots. They'll chew them up pretty good. These don't look bad. Don't really have any problems here. Sometimes around these outside coach lights, you'll get gaps. This one's sealed up pretty good. You don't want water getting behind these fixtures.
We're also going to look at the outside panel, the service disconnect. We're going to document how many amps there are on this coming into this house. One of the things that we like to do in our report, and we'll document this in your report, is to document the serial number and the model number of your compressor, and we'll also do the same thing for the air handler. So you have all that information in your report. You're going to start seeing these more and more in houses in Florida, and this is a Renai tankless water heater. This one happens to be gas. And we're going to turn the hot water on in the house, and we're going to see if this unit fires. Okay, we've got the hot water running in the house right now. As you can see, we're getting some hot exhaust out of that. And of course we can feel the temperature or the exhaust coming out of that unit, so we know it's operating properly. One of the other things we're seeing a lot of is septic systems. Now this particular septic system has a overflow alarm on it. So we're going to test that unit and make sure that the alarm's working properly. There's also a GFI right here. We're going to make sure that that GFI is operating properly also. These pool enclosures should have self-closing doors on them. They should close by themselves, and they should be able to be locked. Safety is a big issue with pools. We're going to walk around this pool and check these turnbuckles and tie downs and make sure they're secured properly. We're also going to look at the screen enclosure to make sure that there's no obvious tears in the screen.
We're going to go ahead and run through the pool. Make sure that everything's working properly. Check the filter. Make sure it has a filter. A lot of times you'll run into houses that'll be sitting for a while and the filter will be missing. We're going to check everything, all the piping, make sure we don't have any leaks. We're going to check it at the pump. We're also going to make sure that your ground wire is installed properly, that everything's good there. And then we're going to see if your skimmer is working. Looks like everything's working properly. We don't have any clogs. We don't have any issues.
The pool does have a handrail. We're going to test it, make sure it's nice and secure. Then we're going to go on the outside and we're going to tap on some tile. We're going to look for any loose tile, any cracks in the deck.
After checking the pool, we're going to go ahead and turn it on the main drain. Make sure we got water flowing through the basket real well. Looks like we do. Then we're going to come over here, check the full GFI, make sure it's operating properly.
This particular pool has a gas-fired heater, and we're also going to operate this pool heater to make sure it works. And while we're up on that roof, we're going to also look at those solar panels to make sure that there's no leaks in the joints. Yeah, these are your clean-out pipes here. We're going to pull them caps off. We're going to run water inside that house and make sure that everything's flowing properly through there. One of the greatest sources of water intrusion into a house is stucco cracks. Now we're not seeing a lot of stucco cracks on this house, but you got to look closely around these windows, especially around these sills, underneath the sills. Those are great entry points for water, and you definitely want to get those sealed up and secured. If you do have cracks, we're going to document them on the report and give you some suggestions on how to handle them. Hose bibs. Right now, they should always have these backflow preventers on them, and that way if you have a hose that runs out into a kiddie pool or something like that, this prevents that water from backing up and contaminating your water source. The problem with pavers is that a lot of times the gutters will run out before they get to these pavers, and you'll get washouts, and you'll see sunken areas in your pavers. We've hit some of the highlights that we go through on our home inspections. Of course, we can't show you everything that we do. It would take 3 hours. Now that we're back at the office, we're going to take all of our notes. We're going to transfer those notes into our computer program and prepare the report. Come on in. get back to the office, we're going to take all the photos that we took when we were at that inspection we just left. We're going to enter them into the computer along with our notes, and we're going to start building that report for you. Okay, once we have the report finished up, typically we're going to have that sent over to you by email within 24 to 48 hours. And if you need a hard copy, we can get one to you. I want to thank you all for tagging along today and learning a little bit about what it takes to do a thorough home inspection. And I appreciate you stopping by, and give us a call sometime.